Look, I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, call it audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the game over with the showstopper. So hot, you gotta blow on it. I said I'll huff and I'll puff, then I'll pass to my left while I'm looking to my right. Hit him right in the chest. It be looking like magic. Better give me the throne. I ain't talking about Patrick, but I rep my home. I'm never at the end of my zone. I'm bad to the bone. Eating up these pig skins like they chicharrones. And you a douche cabron. Mira, mira at the mirror on the wall. I'm the greatest of them all. They gon' put me in the hall. Your name is only written in a bathroom stall. Quit your stalling and make a play. My drive too long. Pop the clutch, I don't pump the brakes. I know what it takes to gain the muscle, get rugged. These butterfingers be fumbling. Squash the scrimmage and rub it in Robitussin. How I give them concussion. They see in double, they rushing and pass the shovel. The dirt and rubble, I bury them under it. Stay in your huddle and get 10 yards back. Never turn your back. I'ma pull your flag. I go full contact. Out punch, out kick like a shotgun blast on 1 out snap. It's a fact that I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, calling audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the...
What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new episode of Hush Mob Podcast. And yeah, I'm back, man. I took a week off because I worked my ass off at work, and I wanted to take a break from the disappointment from the Colts. So I took a break off, but I'm back this week and talk about Colts. I miss you guys. But since we've been out of the playoffs and had to watch other teams win and lose, how you guys feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't feel too good when the Vols got beat by 40 against the Gators in basketball. So you should be kind of sad.
It's one game.
I know
it's one game.
and
then we beat Texas. So
yeah, like everybody beats Texas in basketball.
Spicy already.
Who hasn't beaten Texas? Our basketball team sucks. Like, we have one good player, and then everybody else is just like a bunch of Chris Ballard undrafted free agents.
And yeah, I know how Harish feels for as basketball or football goes. His team was defeated by William Howard and company just last week. So I don't want. If you want to elaborate on that, you can. If you don't, we can move on to something else. But,
yeah, I mean, it was another great season. Back-to-back semifinal appearances. Listen, and we'll talk about this on Thursday, but as a Texas fan, I'm happy with where we're at. Like, people have to understand we were in like football hell for 15 years. So back-to-back semifinals, like, might not seem like a lot for a lot of people. But for us, like, purgatory was so deep that, it's been a long time we can finally say that, Texas is back. Like, they are back to being relevant. They're back to being national contenders. And it sucks, but guess what? It's Arch Manning time, baby. We ready to roll in its Arch Manning era. So, yeah, it sucks, but it's exciting.
And you brought up an interesting topic because that's the name of the show, of the Colts tanking for your new QB1 next year. So that's the top of our show. So you can go ahead and lead into it, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, are there, like, first off, like, with everything that's going on, the organization in turmoil, Arch Manning on the precipice of coming to the NFL in the next 2 years. Listen, he's going to play 2 years at Texas, right? So that's guaranteed. That's what we do know. But are the Colts with Chris Ballard kind of I think the timing is right? And if we think about this, like, next year we're probably not going to be very good. Chris Ballard's going to get fired. Anthony Richardson's probably, and I'm just thinking about the worst case scenario, right? Anthony Richardson doesn't work out. You bring in a new GM, you get a really high draft pick, you suck for a year, and then boom, 2027, you go get your guy. Like you go get your guy, you go get the heir apparent to the greatest Colts quarterback of all time, and there we go. Like, Arch Manning's coming to the Colts with Steve Sarkisian after he wins a national title at Texas. Like, Like, we could think about this crazy scenario. Does this realistically happen? I have no idea. I don't know, but it's fun to talk about, right? It's fun to say, like, what happened? What if we like to? There's a lot of what ifs, and a lot of people can't remember, like, don't like to play what if games. But if you look at the reality of your situation that you're in, and we'll talk about this, we don't have a defense. There's not a lot of talent on this team. Um, and the organization's kind of in shambles. The fan base is pissed off. Half of us still think we need to be patient after 10 years for whatever ungodly reason, and the other half is sick of the crap. So it's interesting to see what happens in the next 2 years, 24 months, however 700 810 days, whatever the hell that math comes out to. But yeah, it's just interesting to talk about.
But speaking of 800 days, that's the last time the Titans has beaten the Colts. It's over 800
Yeah, at least we can
days.
hold on to something.
But go ahead, Austin. What you think about the real UT quarterback?
Nico. Yeah, we'll tank for Nico. But I mean, it's just so far in advance. It's hard to say what's actually going to happen. You can play what ifs all day, but like Chris Ballard said, Jim Irsay wants to win, so we're going to win next year, right? Like,
yeah, we're gonna win with like his 15th, 8th round cornerback that he's gonna take this year.
yeah, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen if we end up with Arch Manning in the future. Obviously, as a Colts fan, we love
Probably
Peyton,
hype.
so it would be crazy. Like, everybody would be happy. But, you know, it's a shot in the dark right now to even know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Realistically, we don't listen. And we've told Jake, we don't know how Arch Manning's even going to be at Texas. Like, he could come in, he's going to struggle next year. Like, people, just because your name is Manning doesn't mean you have like these invisible walls around you and you're not going to get touched. Like, the dude he's going to have to learn next year. He's going to have to grow. He's only started 2 games against nobodies. Like, we don't really know what this team is going to be. And so it's a matter of time. Like, we can come like 2 years from now and Arch Manning is like a second round quarterback. Like, we don't really know. Like, or 2 years from now, he could be the number 1 pick. Like, the ceiling and the if those of you guys don't know anything about Texas, we have the most unrealistic fan base in college football. Like, and this is why for years, every time we won 9-10 games, it was like, oh, Texas is back. Our fan base is very, very unrealistic, and they have very, very high expectations. So it'll be interesting to see, like, mentally how he's going to do next year, because the moment he does something that costs Texas a game, it's going to go haywire. Just look at the way they treated Quinn Ewers for 2 years, 3 years. So we just don't know.
I mean, it's been like
fun to
that from a fan, again, outside looking in. It's been like that ever since Colt McCoy. Well, ever since Vince Young left. I had the quarterback.
Not really, because Colt McCoy, Vince Young were like back to back. Those seasons were great. Like, Texas
But
was
when I didn't get there after the fact, when I think you had one season with Colt McCoy, but after that it was a downfall.
His first year he didn't get there, and that was the whole Texas Tech game. And Colt was terrible in Red River that year. Or no, he was very good at Red River. So we're like, oh wow, we could be national title contenders. And then the whole nonsense with freaking Michael Crabtree and Lubbock goes down. That was miserable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, things like that can happen.
I mean, nevertheless, I mean, you can't put our what if hat on and look at the scenarios that could possibly happen with adding them on, because I mean we already had a Manning legacy already in our organization. Won a Super Bowl, been in 2 Super Bowls. He's a pillar and Hall of Famer on our team, and you can't say he's somewhat an analyst on our team, because he's there when things are. When you talk about Colts, he's there all the time and he's having input. But to have his nephew on the team, oh, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. That'd be so much fun.
It'd be great, just to see that. I mean, he wears a 16 like his uncle. So I mean, just to see, I mean, of course, he's not gonna wear 18 in Indy, but just to see his jersey in that, in that uniform, That's just bringing back so many memories that we've seen for 14 seasons with Peyton Manning, and that was my guy. Nearly cried when he had to, tell the team that he's leaving, tell everybody that he was leaving. I almost cried a little bit, but we ain't gonna tell everybody else. But I mean, that was touching, man. He had to tell everybody that he's leaving, that he's getting cut. I mean, when that happened, I never seen anybody had a press conference to say they're getting cut from a team. That's probably one of the first time I ever seen that.
That was wild.
That was wild. Same thing with Andrew Luck. So yeah, but to have Arch Manning, that brings back the memories of having a Manning and having a great quarterback. Is yet to be seen what he'll be. But we have to watch this 25 season of how he'll be, and if he declares, we'll see what our team is at in standings and what he does at Texas, for us performing, because they are going to be in the SEC and they're going to be performing for years to come. So let's get with your comments. We got a lot of comments and everybody laughing at us. Hello, Monday. Oh, okay. Happy birthday. Mr. Fulton Mraz. Sarah says, hey fellas, I'm excited to see who we get in DC. I'm sorry to say that this may this, but it may not be the answer. A lot of people say that. A lot of people have said that. You're not the first one to say, Sarah. So we understand that a lot of people don't have much faith in the quarterback, but we'll see moving forward. He got year 3 to prove that, and if he's not, then we can move forward with a different quarterback, and it could be Arch. It could be, we don't know, So let's just see. Let's let 25 play out and go from there. There's a Draven said, hey, Sarah, hey, okay. They talking back and forth. Sean, what's going on, Sean? That's our regular. It's good to see y'all back. You, Sarah, and the rest of you. I can skip all those.
Yeah. Let's see.
Miss you too. Yeah, Teresa. I had a lot. I have worked a lot of days, and and then my eye was swollen. My left eye was swollen. No, right eye was swollen as well during that process. So, yeah, I was screwed.
I'm curious about what you think about this.
Go ahead.
Sarah's a Hawkeyes fan, so that's cool, and she's gonna root for the Buckeyes. Do you guys root for the other SEC teams whenever they play other teams? Because I sure as hell don't. Like, I don't care if Tennessee's playing. Like, when Tennessee played Ohio State, I didn't give a shit. Like, I don't care who wins. I had no conference loyalty. Obviously, we just joined the SEC. But number 2, I don't care. Like, it's not like I want my team to get ahead.
You know what I said about that? Whenever you guys were playing, I said, hey, I'm rooting for you guys or whatever. But secretly, I was like, fuck Texas. Harish been all on Twitter talking about, Alabama's are bombs and, all that.
Bro, y'all suck.
See? Yeah. I said,
who cares? Like, y'all lost to 6-loss Oklahoma. What are we talking about? Who cares about Alabama?
And lost to Michigan as well. So, and then when Tennessee played, I was like, I hope Georgia beat the brakes off of them, or whoever it was. Oh, Ohio State. I said, I hope Ohio State beat the brakes off of them. And that's what I got.
I also thought we were going to lose by 50 because they lost by 30. I was like, okay, well, we actually have a defense. Tennessee doesn't. So I don't know what to tell you about that. Actually, Austin never said it. So. I don't care about conference loyalty.
I don't really care either. That's how I am with the division. I want everybody to lose in the division. I'm not gonna root for the Texans to beat Chiefs. Go Chiefs.
I don't. The Chiefs dog walk the Texans. Like, honestly, I don't care about the Texans. Why do I need them to have more info on me?
Our friend of the show said tank for 2 years. I don't know about that.
But it might take.
Teresa, I can't remember when we were so bad we could only listen to them on radio. Ooh.
I wish we could only listen to them on radio these days. Unfortunately, we're way past.
I don't think Ursay is ever going to fire anyone. Oh man. Well, I hope so.
I hope not.
We're home for the heroes. But yeah, we'll see. I hope Richardson plays all 17 games and become a good quarterback. I mean, in reality, we drafted the guy with 4th overall pick. You want the guy to succeed. I'm not pushing for him to be out the door. I'm just pushing for us to go back to what we normally used to see back in the good old days. Seeing even with Andrew Luck, you can add those as good old days as well. His first 3 seasons, he went 11-5, and then we went had a couple of 9-win seasons. Then we went to 4-win seasons, and then went to 3-win seasons and 9-win seasons, 8-win. There's too many inconsistencies. So you want to see some consistent across the board, winning seasons and making playoffs, winning the division. Getting to the AFC Championship game, getting past the AFC Championship game to the Super Bowl. You want to see that. You don't want to keep saying, "Well, at least we made it to the playoffs. Well, at least we got 13 overall pick." That's not a successful season. That's just pretty much just us coping. A lot of people don't cope the right way.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's what I see a lot. A lot of people coping. Well, at least we got 13 overall pick. At least we got the 14 overall pick. At least we can get the tight end from Penn State. That's not a guarantee either. I would love it, but
yeah, it's facts.
just like Brock Bowers could have fell to us, but guess what? He got picked.
Yeah,
he got picked before we could even get to him. So
you don't know.
Just don't know. And that's where we at as a fan. We want to see greatness. Anytime there's things aren't going right, we start to vent and start saying things. Hey, AR is not it. We start saying Shane Steichen is not it. We start saying we start getting to saying a lot of things that possibly we may or may not mean to say. I mean, Shane Steichen, I was mad at Shane Steichen, but it was just because of he doing a bootleg design bootleg with a 40-year-old quarterback, and I was like, that can't be it. That can't be the play. It has been a failed play. I don't think that was right. I don't think he did that on purpose. I'm trying to say that in my mind, like, you know what, that was not on purpose. It was a busted play, and he just had to run with a 40-year-old quarterback that got hit. He took an unnecessary big hit at 40 years old. But luckily, he won't be there again next year. So, anything else before we move on to the next topic? A lot of give me Dennis. Oh, well, since we were talking about that, DC interviews. We got a lot of news to come out that should suggest that we have some guys that are coming in to interview for the DC job. If you guys wasn't aware and you went on the episode, or you haven't been tuned into the the news, Colts has fired Gus Bradley as the DC, or part ways with him as DC. His contract was up, and they decided not to bring him back. So they're moving on, and they'll have other options to take his place. I know a lot of people said they don't agree with these names, and they don't want these guys because they got fired from different other teams. But what you guys think about us having, bringing on Steve Wilkes, Dennis Allen, who just mentioned yesterday as a guy that they're going to interview on Friday, Wink Martindale, who was in the running for head coaching job 2 years ago, Lou Anarumo from the former DC for the Bengals, who had 8 sacks on the Titans. 8 sacks on the Titans. No, Titans had 8 sacks on them and they lost. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, guys. Bring that back up. But the guy had a good defense. I know they fired him recently, but he was stellar in his time with them before they termed him. Maybe because due to injuries they had in their secondary and other players not being available, that caused him to lose his job. But having him on the team would be great to run our defense. And it was the Browns secondary coach, Ephraim Banda. I can't say the name. Drop the comment to say the name. I can't say it, but those are options right now. We got 5 options to replace what Gus Bradley brought to the table for 3 years in Indy as a defense coordinator. We're having those options, guys. What do you think about that in the interviews that are coming up pretty soon with those guys? Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some good names. I think Dennis Allen is another example of not a great head coach, but a really good defensive coordinator. So if we could get him, that would be a solid hire. I'm a big fan of Steve Wilkes. I think he would make us blitz a lot more. So I mean, I'm glad we're at least interviewing him. I don't know much about the Browns secondary coach. Um, and Wink, I think he's he would be a good DC. He's not my top option, but I wouldn't be mad if we brought him in. Like I didn't want him as a head coach, but as a DC, I'd be good with that. And then with the Bengals DC Lou, uh, I don't know. I'm on the fence because they did have such a bad year on defense this year, but at the same time they did have injuries. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm on the fence about him, but I feel like we're bringing in some good names.
Go ahead, Arish.
I think it's good that this, well, from what we're being told, right? Like this is going to be a Shane Steichen hire, right? I like that's good news, right? I think it's good that Ballard has stepped away. Maybe he's learned something. You would hope after 9 years of failure, you learn something, and this is going to be a strictly Shane Steichen hire. I think Dennis Allen is my number one choice. Now that I think about it, like I think of like Dennis Allen and Wink Martindale 1A and 1B, right? And the reason why I say Dennis Allen is the like Austin said, the perfect example. Like great coordinator, terrible head coach, right? Because there's a skill set that you need to be a head coach, and there's a lot of coordinators that don't have that skill set. We talked about it a lot last week, but Dennis Allen has produced great defenses everywhere he's been. Like he produced great defenses for Minnesota. He produced great defenses for New Orleans. Like he has produced and has shown that he can produce great defenses. And this is all while the game has evolved, right?
Yep.
I think Dennis Allen would be an excellent choice. Like that would be phenomenal. I think Wink Martindale would be an interesting choice. I think the problem would be with Wink would be it would be expensive to pry him from Michigan. Because I think he's getting paid like an insane amount of money at Michigan, like probably like $4 or $5 million. And that for most like DC like assistant coaches, DCs, like that's not, that's almost as much as Shane Steichen would be making, and I don't think that would work. So that'd be interesting. But Wink would be great. What is it? Dennis. No, what's that guy's name? Ephraim Banda. Never heard of the guy, but I want nobody from the Browns organization, so don't really care about him. Lou Anarumo. So Lou Anarumo is actually interesting because, kind of like Austin said, he had a hurt defense last year, so they gave up a lot of yards and they didn't do well situationally. But he's also like credited for a lot for the Bengals getting to the Super Bowl. Like the year they got to the Super Bowl, like Lou Anarumo's defense is really good, and they kind of put Patrick Mahomes in a chokehold when they played in the divisional round that year. So I don't think like that's one bad year. So I'm not really like buying from last year on Lou. I think Lou would be a fine choice. He wouldn't be my top choice, but I think just because of the names that are on this list. And Steve Wilkes, I like Steve Wilkes. I think the only thing that I don't know about Wilkes is I don't know if Wilkes runs a 3-4 defense or a 4-3 defense, and I wouldn't think any of these guys would be coming in and saying, yeah, we want to do a scheme change. Like, that would be drastic. That would almost be like, signing your death wish. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably where I would rank those if I were to like have a top 5. I think number 1, I think I'm in agreement with Austin. Like you got to find anything you can do to get Dennis Allen. Like Dennis Allen would instantly fix this defense just based off his scheme and his coaching.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. Dennis would be a top choice. Prior to being head coach of the Saints, the defense was stacked, and they were playing at a high level with the corner safeties, and having Cam Jordan running the show on the edge. That was perfect. And when he able to take over the position from Sean Payton as he retired, he just became a terrible head coach. But that could have mean. Do you guys think that was a reason because he was a fair head coach because they was in cap hell a lot of times because they in cap hell now. They 78 something million over the cap or 60 something million over the cap, and that was like that when he took over the job as well. they stayed in Cap Hill as his tenure as head coach.
Yeah, but he's
Except
also
maybe one
failed
season.
as a head coach in other places too. Like St. New Orleans isn't the only place he was a bad head coach. He failed in
Raiders.
Minnesota. He failed in wasn't he with the Raiders for a little bit? He failed there too. Like he's got a track record of not being a very good
Gotcha.
head coach.
Gotcha. In Wink, you know, you guys may have don't remember, but you know, he was a DC or he was something position. He had a position somewhere with the Ravens, and you know how they perform at DC. They got a new DC. They lost the one. They went to the Titans, and they're still rocking. You look how they did on the other day versus the Steelers. They was up 21-0, and they just credit to the new DC. They have a great scheme, and Wink was part of it. Tubagano was part of it. Rex Ryan was part of it. They have a tree that continues to flourish in that position as DC over there at the Ravens, and Wink has been in that position as well. So to have him on staff, he's going to also blitz. He's going to send his guys to the quarterback as well, because we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that in years and years and years. Even when it's been so many years. But to have him, yeah, like you said, Lou, it'd be an interesting choice as well. But it's showing that we're getting guys that are interested in position in that position, especially that's better than Gus Bradley. His defense was outdated. It was outdated. That zone defense was boring to watch. Letting teams get 20 yards, 10 yards, and march on the field easily on their first drive, second drive. Although we didn't give many touchdowns on our first drive on defense, it just to see that those chunk plays, continuously down the field, that got old for 3 years, and it's time to make a change. And they did do that. So to have those guys that we mentioned, Steve Wilkes, he got fired because they had a hurt defense as well. They lost Buck, they lost is it Armstead or the other DC? I mean, other D tackle they lost him to the Texans too, or no, he went to the Jaguars.
I don't know their person. I don't remember. There was one guy on the defensive tackle that they lost. That was huge for them. I can't remember his name, but
I know they lost Buck and Armstead or whatever it is.
Armstead. I thought Armstead was in San Francisco.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Steve Wilkes was. He lost a lot of guys other than.
Oh yeah. Steve Wilkes is the DC at the Niners, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Before firing him, they had D'Nico Ryans, they had Robert Saleh. So I mean, they had a lot of guys over there. So
I think that was more that. I think Wilkes getting fired was less of him being bad for a season and more of like Robert Saleh was available again.
Yep.
And they wanted to bring him back. I think that's what that was more about.
I agree. You got other comments? Oh, they're just speaking to each other. I love the missing guy in Allen. I mean, yeah, Wink and Denzel are pretty good choices. But let's move on to what everybody wants to talk about. Chris Ballard's press conference. He had one scheduled for Wednesday, and he had it pushed back to Friday because he said he was sick, probably sick of everybody inboxing him and telling him that he's shitty. But I would do the same thing too. I would try to duck and dodge interviews as well. So he had a press conference on Friday. If you guys remember some of the things he said, he was saying that he said last year was disappointing because he decided to run it back. Should have known running it back is not good because you got everybody in your division did not run it back. They let coaches go, they let players go, and they added players to help their team succeed while he stand pat and the team just took a step back. Last year they won 9. It was 9-7. This year it was 89. I mean 9-8 and 9-89. So what you guys think about his press conference and what he said and how he regretted and who wants to bring in competition and stuff like that? But you guys can go ahead and elaborate on press conference and what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of changed what he said the last 8 years, but like it wasn't very different. Like if he comes out and changes the way he does things, then we'll start to believe things he says. But like right now, he's just talking and nobody cares because nobody wanted him to stay. He can say it was a mistake to run it back. He can say that caused like not a lot of competition in the locker room and different positions. But until he changes how he does things, it doesn't matter. Like nothing he said Friday matters unless he actually changes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
that's pretty much.
New Year, same stuff. Like I don't care what that guy has to say. I watched it and I was like, yeah, no, I mean, this is what he says every year. He just said it like Austin said, he just said it a different way. Until he actually changed. Until I see like the first 2 days of free agency, him actually calling somebody, then
It's the
signing
same.
somebody, then I don't care. I don't
Bring
care.
bring in Jair Alexander.
Somebody.
Ooh, it does that. Now that would help us out. That would help. That would help a lot of. They would not quiet fans, but fans will see that he is actually putting actions to his words.
That's the
Not just
problem, right? It's not about shutting us up. It's about doing something. Like
yeah.
you acknowledge that you have. That's like. I don't know what analogy to use, but that's like me saying, like, I know every day that I wake up late, but I'm not going to change anything about it. It's just miraculously going to fix itself.
It's
Like
the same
I've
as
got to.
saying.
Huh?
It's the same as saying, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake, but I made the same mistake again."
Yeah, and then I tell my job, oh yeah, I'm sorry I woke up late today. I'll change it. I promise. And then I just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Every couple weeks, right? Like I don't care, just fix it. And I'm not saying, but then some Colts fans just blow up and like, well, what do you want him to do? Blow the budget? No, dude. Like I want you to go get meaningful signings. I want you to stop bringing in bums like Taven Austin or Taven Bryant, whatever the hell his name is. Like, stop bringing in these bums and go find people that are going to meaningfully make a difference on this team. And it doesn't need to be 8 guys. It needs to be like 2. Like Jair Alexander is a guy that will make a difference on this team.
correct.
And you need to go get a linebacker and put some accountability in this team. Like the fact that we allow our team to suck and then go on a podcast and wish and pray for teams that they played and then get dog walked is like it's just embarrassing. Like the way this team is run is like a toddler daycare. Like it's terrible. It's
And
so bad.
you remember back in 2017, he was brought in to change the culture of this team. Somehow the culture is now somewhat bad. You have
It's
guys like
worse.
Buckner, it's worse. You get guys like Buckner, you get guys like Kenny Moore speaking up on the culture. And it could be just, could be quarterback and also the linebackers as well, being late to practice and meetings and rehab and stuff like that. But you can't have 2 guys on podcasts. I know people saying, well, it's only, an hour for a week. It does
Who
not,
cares?
I don't care about, we only do it for 45 minutes a week. But we're also not, ruining lives. We're not, missing tackles. We're not, not being able to defend tight ends, or we're not getting dog walked by people. We're not getting that. He's actually getting on podcasts and talking trash about teams, players, and not performing. That's the problem. That's a cultural problem. And your GM allowed that. He allowed it to happen, whether he spoke internally about it or not. He allowed it to happen for the 18 weeks or 17 weeks prior to discussing it after the season. There's no reason why you had a podcast and even you had a punter going at it. And basically he told you so. He told you so. He basically told you so, despite you saying not all, some of it was true and the rest of it wasn't. But some of it was true. He did talk about the culture. He did talk about things that was going on internally in your building, and you allowed it to happen. You allowed him to leak that information on his podcast for everybody to see how dysfunctional your organization is under your leadership. You can blame Shane Steichen, but he's a 2-year coach. He's a player coach. But you being a GM, you're supposed to be you're supposed to fix a culture in this room that was tore down by Ryan Grigson. You're supposed to be bringing it back up. It became worse under your leadership. And you didn't bring in competition. Everybody was complacent. That's what Buck said. Everybody was complacent. They knew that I had this job.
Yeah.
I had this
That's
job.
exactly what it is. Even the player, that's how you know you suck as a GM. Even the players inside the locker room were like, yeah, no, hey, sure, I can do whatever the hell I want. You're not going to do anything. That guy doesn't. Have you seen free agency the last 8 years? That guy doesn't sign anybody. He drafted me. I'm good. I'm good. Just need to have a
Yeah,
couple good tackles here and there, and I'm Gucci. I don't have to do anything.
yeah. I mean, there's no accountability. There's no competition. When you have a guy you sign a guy like that's not competition means if you sign a guy like Fred Warner, which you won't do, but you have a guy like Fred Warner pushing Zaire Franklin to be good. That's how you bring in competition. Even if you don't sign a guy, even at that magnitude or that have all pro or a Pro Bowl, bringing a guy that's going to push Zaire to start, bringing a guy that's going to push, Juju Brinks to lose his job. 'Cause right now he probably going to be out the team because he got hurt again after coming back.
If we signed Fred Warner, I'd bench Jair Franklin in a heartbeat. He ain't pushing. Ain't no push, buddy. You sitting on the bench. Sorry. No, you're not pushing anybody. You got pushed out. Like if you sign a guy like Fred Warner, Zaire Franklin can go do his podcast all he wants because he's only playing on third
down. There we go. I mean, I agree. I mean, those things like that's competition. You need guys. Julian Blackman, his job was always safe. Nick Cross's job was safe. I mean, Kenny Moore's job was safe, even though he wasn't the problem, but his job was safe. Everybody was complacent. They brought in a guy, Davis, from the Dolphins to not replace, but sub out Buck. But he wasn't pushing Buck to take his job. He was just there that when Buck needed a rest, he can come in and clog up in the middle, stop to run. And even though they run defense was bad this year, so there was, receivers probably the only competition that probably was there because you see A.D. Mitchell and Alec Pierce battle it out, and Alec Pierce came out on top. So it worked out. But there was no competition at quarterback. There was no competition at running back, even though JT had a great year, great bounce back year. Shout out to him for that. But the quarterback, you go from Gardner Mitchell, who probably was pushing AR before he got hurt. But Joe Flacco was not pushing shit. But or nursing home decisions. He was not pushing that man to be a quarterback. He didn't give a shit about even help him as a quarterback, because he wanted to somewhat start and spend his last year or so. Because he said, "You know what? That's not his last year." Because he said he's gonna want to play next year, but at least spend a couple years playing and having his daughters or kids watch him play. That's all he cared about. He didn't care about showing AR how to be a quarterback, letting AR know he has to be, be on practice on time and performing. This is how you perform. You can't tap out of a game in a game you need it. Stuff like that. He wasn't there to help him. He was there that whenever he failed, he took over the starting position, and he failed as well. He won 2 games as starter. 2 games. That was the last game of the season. I think the other game was against the Titans. Those are 2 games he won. Lost every last one of the other games. That's how bad it was.
Yep.
But that's the culture that your GM brings in. If he brought a guy in like Justin Fields is somewhere becoming a bust. He was the first overall pick with the Bears. And look, he's looking at, making that for himself. But you bring him in, he's looking to start. He's not looking to be sitting behind AR. But AR not looking to sit behind him. So that's how you get competition out of each quarterback. But I don't get it. Maybe he said he's going to make that change going forward. We don't know who's going to come in to be that guy. We don't know. I mean, Harish would love to have Sam Darnold come in, not to be a starter, but at least somewhere push AR.
You don't think Sam Darnold wouldn't push AR? Like,
I say he would.
Yeah, he absolutely would. Now, I mean, Sam Darnold, I don't know what he was doing on Monday night. Terrible. But that was rare for him this year. Like, and that didn't happen. And even though he was bad, like he made a couple throws here and there. That was his first playoff game. Been in the league 8 years. That was his first, or 6 years, or however long he's been in the league. That was his first playoff. So, I mean, I would have taken that over what AR gave us most of the year. Sam Darnold was way better than AR this year.
It's going to be tough because they say they're going to keep Daniel Jones as backup, and then we don't know what JJ McCarthy going to do.
What happened to JJ? What was JJ's injury?
I think it was like ACL or something. I can't remember what it was. He was out the first. He didn't play the first game, so I think I heard him preseason. So it's been a long time. But they rumors has it that they could be in discussion. If they bring back Sam Darnold, it could be in discussion of maybe possibly trading him and keeping Daniel Jones as backup. So I don't know what they're gonna do. That's their hefty problem over there in Minnesota on what they're do. It's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to. Let Sam Darnold walk away from that organization after winning 13 games. It's kind of hard because you don't know what JJ McCarthy is, and you damn sure not starting Daniel Jones. That's not happening. So that's going to be their problem in Minnesota. But
yeah, he had some kind of like knee injury or something.
Who would you prefer? I'm gonna ask you guys that. Who would you guys prefer as a backup to push or take the starting job for AR? A free agent quarterback that should be available. Russ could be a free agent. We don't know.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Why was it saying that? I was just naming quarterbacks.
I mean, Sam Darnold, Justin Fields,
Mac Jones.
I wouldn't call me crazy, but hell, even Jameis Winston, like they're kind of the same type of quarterback, like in the way that they like to sling the ball.
You are crazy. You said Jameis, the pick six king. The guy said he prayed.
But he's also a guy that he's played a lot of football. Like he can. Jameis Winston doesn't always make the same like greatest throws or the like the best decisions, but you talk about a guy that has similar like arm talent that Anthony Richardson does. You got a guy that can be like, hey man, like this is how it should be. And a guy that went through kind of the similar struggles, like got picked high, didn't work out very well, and from a professional standpoint, like how do you mentor a guy?
Is that me? Oh.
What happened? Did I freeze?
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, okay. Like Jameis Winston, like there's not a lot of names out there. This is what I would do. I'd release the entire quarterback room. You're gonna have to build it from the bottom back up, right? Like Sam Ellinger's gonna go. Like that guy, that was fun. Like, I'm done with Sam Ellinger. I'm so sick of hearing that guy's name at this point. But I think you go get like Justin Fields or Sam Darnold. Like you put in for a decent backup because AR is gonna get hurt. He hasn't shown that he hasn't not been able to get hurt. Like he's on the verge of injury prone. The dude he's played less than 50% of the possible games that he can play. So you need to go get a Sam Darnold or Justin Fields that can come in and actually play and still win you games. And then I think you draft a rookie. Like go get like a Jackson Dart or like a guy that can.
You mention Mero?
Who?
Did you mention Mero? I think you did last week. Mero.
Oh hell no! I know Jalen Milroe sucks. Like that, I don't know what happened. That guy regressed. That dude sucks. That dude. You basically, if you go get Jalen Milroe, you have Anthony Richardson 2.0. He's just like he's not as gifted. I don't know how. I thought Jalen Milroe would get better under Kalen DeBoer, but the guy got worse.
He sucked.
I don't know how I don't know how he did that with Penix, and then Milroe looked like Anthony.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's you're right. You're right about that. There's other options too. I mean, like I said, Dart. Somebody said the IU quarterback.
Who?
The quarterback for IU, Indiana.
That guy sucks too. Rourke, what's his name?
I can't say his name either.
Yeah, this is a bad quarterback. Like honestly, like NFL like draft quarterbacks, like it's so bad. Like
who you prefer, Austin? Someone that can mentor or take his job or push him to be a great quarterback and stay healthy.
Yeah, I really like Justin Fields. I've always liked Justin Fields since he came into the league. So if we could get him, I think that would work out. And just think like just like as a fan, what if we got them both on the field with some trick plays? That'd be crazy.
That'd be
It was
wild.
it was supposed to be done with with Russell, but they didn't do it.
But
Maybe that's
Russell sucks.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have them both on the field. That definitely be good because I mean everybody say they are running back anyway. So
Yeah, well, there you go. Let's see some of his running back abilities and have him run wheel routes out of the backfield.
yeah, and instead of an old guy that's 40 years old.
Yeah, there's only like 2 good quarterbacks
In the
in
draft,
this entire draft, and it's the first 2 on the board.
and it's still
There's
unknown.
still question marks.
Yeah, still question marks.
Yeah, like Cam Ward's probably the best quarterback in this draft, right? But that guy just runs around and does stuff with his eyes closed and makes it look really crazy. Like literally, I don't know what that does. Shadur Sanders played like I watched Shadur Sanders live at the bowl game that he had. That dude still plays with happy feet. Like he doesn't know how to get rid of the ball. And then the media circus that comes with that. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't think Dion is the guy that's going to be like Dion's busy at Colorado. Like I don't think I don't think he's going to be a media circus. But I mean, you get the whole gist of that, right? And everybody else sucks. Like Jalen Milroe sucks. Quinn Ewers sucks. Jackson Dart is probably the next best guy. Kyle McCord, that dude sucks. Curtis Rourke, he sucks. Riley Leonard can't throw anything more than a 5-yard slant. And then Will Howard is terrible. Like his quarterback class is.
I would take Will Howard though. I would take him though as a backup. I would not start.
Why? He can't do anything.
I mean, a lot of your backups can't. There's not a lot of backups that's going to come in and run a team. I mean, not a lot of guys. Nick Foles will suck, but he came in, not here, but in other teams and done something.
You could use Will Howard as that guy that runs the ball like on short because he can kind of do that thing, right? If he gets hurt, who cares? He sucks. You got I know it sounds terrible. I'm saying it that way, but yeah, there's just not a very good draft. I think maybe Jackson Dart's the only flyer you take, and then you just see what's in the 26 class. Because the 26 class could be really good.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got my home team. Stacy.
Yeah, I don't do that two team rooting crap. I don't do that. Sorry, it sounds terrible. I don't know.
My bad, Stacy. Otherwise, I would like the Saints, but I hate them because they beat us in the Super Bowl. Yeah. So I hate them even more. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of options in the draft and free agency. I mean, like you said, you mentioned the guys we mentioned, Sam Darnold. Who knows what Minnesota would do with him? Somebody's going to pay him a lot of money, so I doubt he'd be a backup anywhere.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So Fields, he haven't earned the right to get a big payday. So he probably get a 1-year deal, probably 2-year deal. With the market his market value being as low as it is. But him being a backup and potentially being a starter would definitely help him. He didn't get he did have the opportunity with the Steelers, but they ended up benching him for Russell, and he lost the job the rest of the year. But it wasn't because he was ass. He did win a bunch of games. I think it was like was they undefeated? We beat them, so they weren't undefeated, but they won a lot of games prior to playing us, and then they kind of went downhill and lost some games, and then they went to Russell Wilson. So I don't know. We're not looking for a guy. Are we looking for a guy to start? Or are we looking for a guy that's going to push our quarterback? That's probably what a lot of us are.
I think we're looking for just competition. If he beats AR, he beats AR.
Okay.
Like it is what it is. AR's not the franchise quarterback because he hasn't proved that he is.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of guys are entitled to. That's probably he's entitled to starting. And we need to bring in guys that are not, entitled to start. I mean, look at the running back position. When JT is out, we suck. Our run game is terrible. I said this. Sermon, it was not a good backup. I know Moss went and took a starting job with the Bengals, but his backup was better than him. and he had 1,000 yards rushing. So that should tell you
Yeah.
that we need. I see Hines behind. Harish, bring him back. That definitely be dangerous. He's way better than Tyler Goodson. He definitely going to catch those out routes. He gonna catch all of them.
I
He
mean,
did
even
like
Hines wasn't like great. He's just the next guy that we convinced ourselves was awesome. Like Hines was a utility back. He wasn't a backup. It was a guy that you could use on special teams. He was a guy you can kind of use every now and then, like as a backup. Like this draft has a lot of very good running backs that could back up JT. Now,
Mhm.
obviously Singleton and Katron Allen, they both are going back to Penn State, so those aren't options. But Quentin Sean Junkins is really good. Obviously, got Ashton Genty. I don't think he falls. Travion Henderson would be perfect. Ollie Gordon is very good. RJ Harvey is very good. Got Cam Scatterville. Like the running backs in this class are stacked.
I
Like
said the guy from Arizona State. Yeah, he definitely is good.
yeah,
Dylan Sampson.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Dylan. I want. Yeah, Dylan
Is
is
Dylan
good.
Sampson even coming out? Has he announced yet?
Yeah, he coming out.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Dylan Sampson. Like, there's so many running backs in this. Jaquindon Jackson. Like, you have to get one of these running backs. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
there's so many running backs in this class. And then you just move. Who's that guy? Gooley, Godson, Goodson, whatever
Goodson.
the hell. Cut that guy.
Tyler Goodson.
Sermon, yeah. Or you cut Trey Sermon. Maybe Trey Sermon's your number 3, and that's fine. But I think you also need a guy that can catch out of the backfield. So Cam Scatterby would be perfect. Cam Scatterby would be insane in the for this team. But you have to be willing to look at your roster and like, what do I really need if I'm going to compete? So, and then we as the fan base have to have the the hope or even the trust that Ballard does that, and I don't think any of us does.
It definitely makes that's why we bring us to this topic. Will he change his approach after 8 seasons? So, you go ahead and start with that since you said that you don't think we can trust him to build a team because he haven't done it in 8 seasons. At least the last 4 seasons he haven't done it.
At this point, I'm not convinced Chris Ballard even knows what team building means. Like, that's how bad I think he is at it. And I called this out last year, like in the offseason, and people were like, well, he drafts all these players. He has trained our minds to think that drafting a bunch of guys is the way to go. And he truly doesn't build this team. And then he told us, oh, well, I have a lot to look at in the mirror and all that nonsense that he said all over again. Like, who cares? Like, no, I don't think he will change his approach because he's never shown that he ever has. So I have no reason to believe it in year 9 more than I had any reason to believe it in year 1. So no, I don't think he will change his
ways. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have to hope that he does, but like you said, it's hard to say that he will after all this time of him doing the same thing over and over again. I do think this offseason will be a little different than it was last offseason. I think we will bring in some guys, but I don't think we'll bring in like guys that everybody's wanting. I don't think we'll make huge changes that I feel like we need to make. But I mean, I do think it'll be a little different, but not like different enough to where it will make people happy.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna it's gonna be the same cycle. It's just that he instead of waiting to the 4th, 5th wave of free agency, he might do it the 3rd wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 is still the guys that he feel like they're or too expensive to be in the locker room. He want to say that he spent a lot of money on free agency, or he wants to probably revert back to the contracts he giving guys on the team already. But he has shown that when there's guys interested in coming to the team, when there's rumors that this guy could be coming to the team, he always say it takes 2 to tangle. And that just sound like some stupid shit he'll say every time. Like, it takes 2 to tangle. Yeah, I get that. But when you are interested in a guy, you fly. it was to the tango when you paid Gilly 14 or 13 million a year before you trade him the second year. You actually got a plane, flew out to him and got him. So you wanted him, even though he was old. So you have the will to do that. You know how to go get a guy. You just choosing not to do it because your philosophy is I'd rather build through the draft and have competition through there. But when you having those guys in the draft, those guys are not pushing the starters from previous year. They're not pushing those guys because you're either cutting them or they're just below average to where they just in there making plays here and there. Grant Stu is good, but he's not pushing Zaire to be a starter. He's not. He's not. He's just talented. They can get to the quarterback, get to the running back, and make a tackle, just like the other guys making tackles. So the whole group is missing tackles. So I mean, there's no win in that group. They all are playing bad. Yeah, Zaire has his tackle award. What was it? What is it called? What he got? The tackle champion, tackle title, whatever he got. Yeah, he got that, but he missed a lot.
Most tackles. I don't care about it. Stupid.
Yeah, he got that, but he missed a lot of tackles as well. I mean, and I think in his podcast he showed that he's selfish. He wants to achieve the tackle record. That's nothing. That's not a division. It's not a division title. It's not
He's
advancing
such a
to
high guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need guys that look at the team, not just individual stat. That comes with playing your role. Otherwise, Zaire will try to not Zaire. The Forrest Buckner will try to have 20 sacks a game. I mean, a year.
Yep.
Nick Cross was top 5 in tackles. He stopped being the guy that we had a podcast talking about. He could potential break the tackle record as a safety. I haven't seen him again. Maybe there was, they had a talk and say, hey, let's stop focusing on getting individual records.
Yep.
Zaire
a bunch of high guys on this team.
We need guys that's going to play within the system. We need guys. I mean, and Dennis Allen could help with that. Dennis Allen and Steve Wilkes, Wink, those are veteran guys, could help with that. Those guys don't probably. Those guys don't accept those type of individual things. They're all about the team. Wink tried to be a head coach with us. Steve Wilkes was a head coach and got fired in several places he was at, but nevertheless, he's a good DC. Dennis Allen just got fired mid-season, but his defense was, I think, it was no lower than a top 10 defense since he'd been in with the Saints. It just was bad when he became a head coach because he tried to do. I call him, when he took over the head coach, I said he's just another Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is a great defensive coordinator or defensive guy, but not a good head coach. But
no, I would just no. See, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. Mike Vrabel was not. Mike Vrabel was an excellent head coach. He just had a stupid front office. Dude, do you not know Mike Vrabel took that Titans team to a division title with 70 injuries across an entire season?
He did, but I just don't,
That's not like no. Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, but well, look at all the injuries we had all season. We couldn't do anything. Like those are the same excuses that people are making for. No. We're not gonna do that. Mike Vrabel is. If Mike Vrabel, I would have fired Mike. If Mike Vrabel was like, hey man, I want to come coach the Colts, I would have fired Shane Steichen in 5 seconds. I wouldn't even think about it. Okay, cool. See ya, Shane. Like we got another guy. Sorry. And then the next day I'd be announcing Mike. I'd do what the Patriots did.
That's still bad though. That's still bad because
it was bad. But look, I think that was unfortunate. Like I didn't agree with Gerard Mayo getting fired, but Mike Vrabel wants to come coach for you guys. Like a guy that has proven that he can win.
But
in bad situations,
you and I and Austin know that Mike Vrabel was available to get the job the first time. And
but Chris Ballard's an idiot. We all know that too.
No, I'm talking about he was available to get the job with the Patriots the first time. They went with Gerard Mayo.
Was that last year? Vrabel hadn't been fired yet, had he?
He was already fired. He was fired after the season with the Titans. He was available to get the job. They didn't interview him. They went like in house. Once they parted ways.
Then they decided to go internal, right? Yeah. I mean, there could be a lot of different reasons why those things fall through, right? Like, we don't know all the inner workings as to why that happened last year, but maybe someone gave and they're like, "Oh shit, maybe I made the wrong decision," and they reached back out and said, "Hey, I'd be interested." I think Gerard Mayo kind of sealed his deal when he pulled um the Colts and like cost him the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
I think that's probably honestly what did it for Gerard Mayo.
But also, what's the guy named? Joe Milton said that, hey, I haven't played all year. You think I'm gonna come out and just lose a game?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. But again, it's not like the players are sitting here like, yeah, you think we're gonna lose the game? Like the coaches, like they know what's at stake. Like the number 1, even if the Patriots weren't gonna pick anybody number 1, think of all the draft capital they could have gotten for that number 1 pick. Like you want to come all the way up and draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, it's gonna cost you a lot. Like that's a lot of capital for the Patriots that they missed out on.
Right. Yeah, I got no.
So, I think that plays a part in that, honestly. Isn't that what happened with Houston?
Yeah.
Like they didn't they beat the Colts when they had the number 1 pick or something, and they lost the number 1 pick. They could have had Bryce Young or something, right? I mean, I guess looking back on it, probably isn't a bad thing, but
yeah, it still worked out for them. But like you said,
yeah, because the Colts are dumb as hell. Because Chris Ballard's an idiot. That's why it worked out for them.
Well, the thing was, I know people say, well, us winning, us losing. I don't know what it was. I got confused. I get confused when people talk about how they pan out. It panned out for them to get CJ Stroud, but they had the opportunity to get the first overall pick. So yeah, they ended up getting CJ Stroud, but they didn't know who they was gonna get. They left out and got CJ. It was had the Bears not trade to the Panthers and Panthers fucked that up. Then they, who knows what the Texans would have.
Well, I'm saying like that could have been the Colts in that spot. I think if the Colts lost that game,
we did lose. The Texans beat us that year. We tied the first game, week 1, and they beat us the last game.
There was something. Maybe it was a game before that where they'd won one too many games, and they won a game they shouldn't have won. The Colts.
Probably that Raiders game because Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff
the Raiders game. Yeah.
So.
Like, dude, we could have we were doing just fine. We were on pace to get CJ Stroud. I was like, yes, this is gonna happen. We're gonna get the guy I really, really want. I think it'll be like beat the Raiders because it was Gardner Minshew that year. It was like, oh, I need to go make some money, so I gotta go win a game or something.
No, that year it was Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan and Jeff Saturday issue we had where we
fired. The Jeff Saturday season. That's what it was. Yeah. I was like, yes, Jeff Saturday's gonna be interim coach. We're gonna suck. And then he goes and wins games because he has pride or something stupid like that. And now I don't even see that guy on ESPN anymore. So what a pride from that guy.
Yeah, man, but it just I'm hopeful. I say that I'm not full force like hell yeah he's gonna change his approach because I usually have it. I'm just a wait and see person right now. I'm not saying hey guys or walking around just saying hey this guy gonna do everything he can to make sure that this team be successful in this show. I doubt that he does that. I think he's gonna fall in the same stubbornness as he said. He's hard headed. He's gonna fall in the same the way he approaches his same philosophy. He's gonna continue doing the same thing. And I thought he'd change that now because he got heat up his ass. I doubt he'd do that. But anything else you have, Austin, that you want to add on before we get up out of here? Because it wasn't supposed to be a long episode. It somehow did. But Chris Ballard does that for us.
No, I'm good.
What about you, Harish? I've spoken my piece about this guy.
Yeah, I'm good. I've got nothing else to say about that guy either.
Well, since we all are done and we all are tired of talking about Chris Ballard for this episode, let's go ahead and plug in our social medias and what we got coming up. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
Yeah, so
go Chris, good show, bro.
she mean well. Teresa, I am Josh Senior, but yes. But it's always a pleasure that you have you in the comments, along with the rest of the ones that are coming. Shout out to y'all, and subscribe to our channel. But go ahead, Reese.
Yep, you can find me at Twitter at the Uncle Gandhi.
Yes, sir. And you can find me on Twitter at Who Is Josh Senior. You can find us the podcast everywhere at Horseshoe _Mob. You can catch us on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks for the ones that are subscribing to the channel. Check out for more content coming up. We got more things coming up soon. So check us out. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all our social medias, including the podcast page. Thank y'all for your support. And we're going to get up out of here. We'll see y'all next time.
On one house snap, it's a fact that I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, calling audible.